I'm a little bit daunted, only because at my age should I be riding something as small, my god, something as small as this. Okay, so here we are on a rainy day in Falmouth, and I'm going to do a road test on the S1000RR, BMW S1000RR. It looks a bit of an awesome machine, but it's raining, so how much fun's that going to be? And I don't know if my backside's going to fit on that seat. It looks a bit small. Okay, so this is really funny because I thought I'd got my feet in the wrong place then on the pedals. On the foot pegs, because they're really high, but that might just because I'm an old person. Anyway, we'll get on and we'll see how this goes. I'm so far forward I can't even see where I'm going. I don't even want to put my legs up. I don't want to sound negative on this because this is absolutely massive, this bike. Just for somebody who normally rides a GS Adventure, this is a completely different experience. I've ridden one of these before actually, and it's an awesome machine. So powerful. This is 200 brake horsepower, and it does 0 to 100 in 2 seconds. I could be home in 10 seconds. How cool would that be? So it's typical road bike position, leaning forward, down on your elbow, down on your wrists. It's really not designed for riding around towns and cities, obviously. It's not a commuter bike, for definite. But that said, I mean, people use them for all sorts of things now, and there's a bike that fits everybody, is one of Toby's favourite sayings. The thing that springs instantly to mind about this bike is it would be a licence loser. Easily, because it's not, doesn't want to sit at 30 miles an hour. It really does want to get out and be thrashed around a racetrack or a road or something like that, which is you know, what it's all about, I suppose, on a road bike. And Greg's been telling us how to get our knees out and get around, you know, get some video of us going around a corner. I suppose this is like a racing horse, isn't it, compared to the old donkey of a GS Adventure that I ride. It's chalk and cheese. Hard suspension, comparatively speaking, which is what you would expect for this kind of machine. Relatively high revving as well, which you would also imagine is a trait of a road bike. So I'm doing 27 miles an hour in second, and it's just at 3,000 RPM. The red line is at about 14.2, so I suppose its sweet spot is somewhere around about 7,000 RPM. Good mirrors on it. I think they're the same shape as most of BMW mirrors at the moment, so you get quite a good view on them, which is unusual for a road bike, because a lot of road bikes have really poor mirrors. It's like they've just been stuck on as an afterthought. Good brakes on it. I suppose you have to have them if you've got 200 brake horsepower. This is actually restricted at the moment to 120 brake horsepower because BMW do that until it's done 600 miles. Once it's done its 600 mile service and shaved all the burrs off, then they whack it back up to its maximum of 200 brake horsepower. Now I'm probably quite tall. I don't know, I'd like to think I'm tall, but I'm 5'10", and the bike feels reasonably comfortable. I mean, you're actually, your belly is on the tank, and I haven't got a belly, so, but your tummy is actually resting on the front part of the back part of the tank. Your arms feel quite straight underneath you. It's hard to relax them. That might just be fear on my behalf, though. One thing I do find noticeable with this is that you know, with the riding position, is the head-up style you have to adopt, really. And I've got to be honest with you. You know, I having spent a long time in the services diving and doing all sorts of stupid stuff, my neck's not a strong point, so I would find this quite difficult for any length of time. Now I know people take these out and have done pretty substantial tours on them, you know, and all credit to them. I possibly couldn't do it, but once you start to wind it up on a corner and just feed the power in easily, The bike actually has got so much electronics on it. It wants to sort you out and put you in the best position for the corner straight away, with regard to speed and lean and all the rest of it. And it does feel very, very confidence inspiring.
So what do you think about the styling then, Mr. Mark?
Typical road bike, typical pocket rocket is probably the best way to describe it. Really, really nice, nice lines on it. Massive hugger, look at this thing. Goes on the back and the swing arm on it. Is that what they call them, swing arm?
Why would you put a massive hugger on a bike that's not going to be taken out in the rain and get dirty?
Well, it's actually the bit that holds the wheel on, isn't it? That?
Well, yeah, but we'll gloss over that.
there is that's the hugger there, which be a massive rooster tail off it, because it's not ever going to be ridden slow.
No. Even at 20 it wants to go more, doesn't it?
But look at this sexy exhaust on it. It's got a cap underneath and then it splits off. It's like, it's a massive piece of plumbing.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm sure you can buy different makes. I've been some proprietary, because I heard him say it before. Different makes of exhaust to make it sound better. But again, they've got that little flappy valve on that BMW likes so much.
They
Which
love
does
it.
nothing. But
So getting on the bike.
Go on then.
I'll see if my hip stays in place. Now, how high is that? How high is that up? And really, God,
it's a road bike, mate. Ooh, it's not designed for comfort, definitely.
it's not, is it? But it's a 4-cylinder, isn't it? So it's a lot smoother.
Yeah.
But blimey, it's gonna take some I might have to do some yoga before I get on that bike, you know.
It is. The steering is stiff, which you would imagine it to be, because it's designed for counter steering round corners and all that sort of stuff. Hang on,
It's all
might be nuclear bombs going off somewhere. Yeah, it's very stiff to ride. It doesn't want to be doing 30 miles an hour. It wants to be doing about 170 miles an hour. This is restricted at the moment to 120 brake horsepower, but
only until the 600-mile service,
Yeah,
and then
thank
it's
God for
it's open.
yeah. But it does look nice. I mean, the heat that comes off the engine as well. When I sat there, it was ticking over before. I was beginning to think I had a heated seat on it.
So, styling.
Styling, very nice.
It's an immense looking bike, isn't it?
It is.
And you've got those mean eyes, those mean lights.
Should we switch the lights on and see
Yeah,
what
do
they
it. There they are.
There they go. The other on.
So full of bulbs, no LEDs. But I suppose, will you really need LED lights for people to see you? Because by the time they've looked to see you, you've gone.
You'd think they'd, it's a 2017 bike. You'd think they'd put LEDs in the front as well.
Yeah.
You know, if they can do it on a GSA, I'm sure they can do it on here.
But what a thin bike. It's only about 200 kilos, isn't it?
It doesn't weigh very much at all.
No.
It's very light on the road. I must admit, when you ride it, you feel like you're right up on top of the tank, and you can feel the front of the tank in your tummy all the time. And if you squat down and put your chest on it, you know, as if you were doing a bit of speed, then, you know, I don't find it very comfortable, and I'm not a fat bloke. Really.
So even though it's a really sports bike, or even though it's a massive sports bike, they've kept all of that. So at least you haven't got to worry about trying to find any of the switch gear.
Well, it's got a cruise control on it, heated grips, mode switch. I suppose mode is sensible, nutter and crazy.
And they've got slick mode and race mode and all sorts on this bike, haven't they?
Trips and lap settings and all this sort of stuff. I mean, the thing is design. You would get the best out of this around a racetrack.
Oh,
definitely.
100%.
Because all you're going to do here is, I don't want to keep harping on about it, but it doesn't want to do 70 miles an hour.
No.
It's a nice dashboard. It's all the stuff you're supposed to have. The speedo, the odometer, big rev counter. Obviously, that's important
If you're on a racetrack.
if you're on a racetrack. Clock, miles per gallon, all that sort of stuff.
So what was the screen, what was the protection like when you were sat on it? Because it's quite a small screen, isn't it?
You would have to be right down low to get any kind of protection on that, and you'd never see through it. It's for racing.
Yeah.
But I will say the mirrors are quite good on it, and they're like the standard BMW mirror now, the shape,
Yeah.
which is on quite a lot of road bikes, the mirrors are like an afterthought, aren't they? You know,
Yeah.
just because it's got to have mirrors on it by law. These are actually quite functional. You still see quite a bit of your elbow in it, but not as much as other bikes. So they obviously cared a little bit about that.
Yeah.
They've got this protection on the tank, and I'm not sure whether that's what that is there for. Whether it's just a bit of fairing to take wind off the front of the tank, or
Well, there are some vents here, so whether or not that's to aid with the cooling of something, or even just aesthetics. But
I tell you what, you couldn't put on this bike though.
Tank bag?
A tank bag. You'd have to have, you know, head in it because it would be that small. But I'm sure they will do one. Carbon fibre lookalikes on the fairing here.
Yeah.
It's a typical road bike with loads of fairings on it.
And a nice 4-cylinder engine.
Yeah. I will say that access to the lights is easy. You can see there that it's quite a simple operation to change a light bulb, because you've got obviously the standard light bulbs on it. No keyless start.
Well, on this sort of thing, you don't want things flapping out your pocket, do you? You want it.
No.
You want it
just flapping in your face. That's all.
Yeah.
Would you go touring on this?
I bet there are some people that would.
I'm sure they would. I wouldn't.
No.
I think I'd have to go and avail myself of the NHS hip replacement service if I had to.
What was the seat like then? Was
Comfortable?
It was comfy, was
you
it?
feel actually, because it's, I'm not saying I've got a fat behind or anything, but you feel really quite encased in it, and because your feet are quite high and you're leaning on this, you're actually almost squashed into the riding position, but it's very snug. It's an awesome bike. It's designed for going around a racetrack, not for riding along the road. You never get any shopping on it.
So overall, I mean, because it's TT weekend, isn't it?
TT weekend. It's exactly where this bike should be.
Yeah.
Let's go and ride this 1000cc motor horse. Now, the last sports bike that I was on was a VFR, and I hated it just purely because of the positioning of everything. Really didn't like it. And the first impressions of this, I feel like I'm looking down at the ground. And I guess to ride along, you're going to have to put your belly right on the tank. And I can see why those racers are down like that. But that must put a tremendous pressure on their necks. All the switch gear's in the right place. I haven't even got to worry about that switch gear. I've just got to worry about the amount of power and making sure that my feet are in the right place, because I'm not a sports bike rider. So for me to ride a sports bike, it's quite special actually. I'm quite nervous to ride it, but also quite excited to ride it, because I know that I'm only riding it back to BMW. We might go and find a couple of twisties, see what it's like. But very, very over the tank. And I guess, you know, Mark was right. This sort of bike is a bike that you want for the track. It's not a bike that you want to be taken on the road, although lots of people do like these sorts of bikes. And that's what I love about motorbikes. There is a motorbike for everyone. Doesn't matter what your tastes are, what you want to ride, how you like riding. If you've got a bike, you're a friend, and it doesn't matter. You're one of the group. You're one of the crowd. Now this has got a quick shifter. This has got a quick shifter on it as well, which is great. And when we were talking to Greg at BMW, he was saying that when you go up and down the box, certainly when you're going to put a little bit of power on, rather than using the clutch to go up and down, use the quick shifter, because the clutch is quite stiff and sometimes it's got a habit of just clutching. I know that sounds really strange, but just jumping you into the gear really quickly, and you might get a bit of you might come a bit unstable, I guess. But hear that sound. That is a nice sound. And where you're sat, because I'm trying different earplugs. My old earplugs weren't the best for touring because I've got quite a loud K-Berg helmet. So I'm trying different earplugs, and it's given a different sound to every bike that I'm riding, including mine. And
looking at how this bike is modelled and styled, the sound very much reverberates around the rider. Now I don't know whether they've done that so that you can keep the sound and listen to the sound, but blimey, it's a nice sounding bike. Very, very stiff suspension, and the steering, it does feel very light. I know Mark said it's quite stiff. It's very light, and I think the reason it felt a little bit stiff for Mark is because we're used to the armchair sort of riding rather than being actually on the handlebars, so you're kind of having to do much more counter steering than actually moving the handlebars. But this bike just wants to go. It's 25 miles an hour in second gear. Well, I just get used to it. I don't want to go silly. You know, it's the first sports bike that I've ridden for quite some time, and I want to make sure that one, it gets back in one piece, and two, that I get back in one piece. But also having enjoyed a little bit of being on a sports bike. Now I've been on this bike for probably about 5 minutes, 5, 6, 10 minutes, something like that. And I can already feel that my back is starting to ache a little bit, and my wrists are starting to ache because you've got all of your weight there. Even though I can ride and, you know, ride quite a lot sat up, I mean, this has got cruise control, so I can set cruise control and sit up. You know, it's a very well weighted bike, so there's no pressure there. So I guess to alleviate that pressure, and it's something that I'm really not used to. So it's not me getting at the bike, it's just that I'm not used to this position, that you can actually take that weight off your hands, but it just wants to go. And I see what Mark means about the seat. It feels like it's a heated seat because the engine temperature, the heat from the engine is coming up through, it's emanating through the bike. And strangely, I know that I talk about being at one with the bike and at one with several of the bikes, but I actually feel part of this bike, and I think that's all down to the fact that you're sat in a way that you're sat. The seating position, you know, it lends itself to good visibility, it lends itself to just being comfortable for this sort of bike. And I feel at one with the bike. I really feel connected with it in a way that I haven't done with many other bikes before. I feel connected to my adventure, but in a completely different way. This is being connected to a bike that it's almost like, for me, that rather than sitting up, I'm lying down, almost like Superman, face forward, you know, and the clutch bite is right there. As soon as you start to release the clutch, the power is just there. It's going, Toby, come on, take me faster. And I know that I'm going really slow, but this is, you know, I'm not able to go much faster on these roads because of the damn traffic everywhere. And I tell you what, this quick shifter is without doubt the best quick shifter that I have ever used. It may have something to do with it being a 4-cylinder bike, but it's got everything to do with how these magicians at BMW have engineered this machine. To go up into, I mean, that's 4th gear. I mean, that is just exceptional. You can't even feel it. I wonder what it's going to be like to go down. You can't even feel it. You can certainly feel the power though, and certainly what Greg was saying, that this bike lends itself to that quick shifter more than using the clutch. It's so much smoother. Why would you use the clutch if you've got a smooth option? All the dials are in the right place, and to be fair, you're right on top of the dials. Just a flick of the eye and it's all there. You haven't really got to move your head very much at all to see what's going on. Do you know, BMW, and I know a couple of people have said you're always really positive and, you know, the upspin, but I just like riding different bikes, and I speak as I find. And different manufacturers have got different ways of doing things, but blimey, BMW just know how to make a good bike. They know how to make a good product. They really do. We've got a bit of a faster road coming up here, which is just going to be awesome. Let's see what this baby's like. Wow. You know, that's only taking it up to 60 odd. But my God, this bike wants to go. And you know, at 60 miles an hour in 6th gear, it just still doesn't feel like it's going through any effort. It doesn't feel like it is straining at all. It just wants to go. And that sound, that lovely, beautiful sound coming out of that exhaust pipe, and the power, even in 6th gear, you can hear it, just wants to take you. And I can really see why people buy this bike now. I can see why people want a sports bike. The thrill of that speed. And I can also see where Mark's coming from, that to have that sort of speed you really need to be on a racetrack, somewhere safe, somewhere safer than a road, that if you do come off you're not going to hit another car or a lamppost or a speed sign. But oh my gosh, I know why people like riding this bike. But this bike is a license loser. If you take this on the road, just be very, very careful. There's a lot of responsible riders out there. There's some not so responsible riders, as you get with any community, and I'm not knocking any one of you. But just be really careful when you're on the road with this bike, because the power just, it makes it, I want to get carried away with it. I want to take it on a track. I want to take it away. And I never thought I'd say that about a bike. I never thought I'd say that about a sports bike at all. And in equal measure, I've really enjoyed riding the other bikes from BMW. And for me, this doesn't tick any boxes for a long-term bike. But I tell you what, it ticks some of those wow boxes. Oh my God, it ticks some of those wow boxes. And I can see on the TT, you'd be down here, you know, even further down, and they'd be inches away from walls. And that's what this bike makes me want to do. It makes me want to not take risks, but to push the boundaries, knowing that this bike has got gizmos and gadgets that is going to help protect me and help me have a safe ride. All in all, I can see why people buy these bikes. I've never been able to understand until today, but oh my gosh. That is just immense, and it just wants more. It just wants to go. It wants me to go faster and faster. And there's a part of my brain that is saying, yes, I want to do it too. I want to do it too. I want to go faster, faster, faster. And then realizing that I'm on a road. If I could get a race day experience and have one of these bikes, I think that would be one of the best days of my entire life on a motorbike. Purely because I can really see where people are coming from with one of these bikes. It's not a practical bike. It's not a bike that would go for miles and miles because the range isn't huge. I guess you get about 100, 120 miles unless you really push it out of a tank. But is that the reason that you would buy one of these bikes? And I'm guessing that the reason that you'd buy one of these bikes is because you just like riding sports bikes, and you like riding sports bikes quickly. And I said earlier about the seating position and my arms and my wrists aching. I've forgotten all about that. Forgotten all about it completely. Because do you know what? This bike isn't about comfort. This bike is about pure, unadulterated fun. If you've liked this video, give it a massive thumbs up. Check out our other videos and reviews up there. Stay tuned by subscribing, and keep an eye out for our videos that will be coming in future weeks of our trips around Spain and Portugal. Do you have one of these bikes? Do you have a sports bike? Let us know in the comments below. But thanks very much to Greg and his team at BMW. A massive shout out to you for allowing us to take these bikes out and making these reviews possible. And I hope you've enjoyed the review of this bike, this very special bike, and we'll catch you in the next one.